Welcome. You're listening to a Trauma Survivor Thrivers podcast on Mental Health News Radio Network. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lorilee Binstock, host of a Trauma Survivor Thrivers podcast on Mental Health News Radio Network and anywhere you get your podcasts. Today, I'm honored to welcome Brooke Deanne, a trauma healing mentor, rapid transformational therapist, and NLP practitioner who has dedicated her life to helping others break free from cycles of control and emotional abuse. Brooke's journey is one of courage and profound transformation, growing up in a doomsday religious cult and later enduring narcissistic abuse from both her father and husband. She spent years trapped in environments defined by fear, manipulation, and psychological control. Her new book, Shattered, Broken, and Beautiful: Losing My Religion and Finding My Faith, debuted #1 on Amazon and offers a powerful roadmap for survivors learning to reclaim their faith, identity, and freedom after abuse. And Brooke, oh my gosh, I love the title. I really do. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I appreciate it. Yeah, when the title came to me for the book, I just knew it was like perfection. Like it, and it was so funny because even had publishers that were like, "Well, we want to change the name," and I was like, "No, I'm sorry, this is it." Like,
Really?
yeah,
Really?
yeah. So I mean, I think it was just kind of like reflecting to me, like just to really set my boundaries and to know, like to trust myself. Like when I know what I find that is really meant for me, like just to trust that. So I was so glad that I went forward with that because it is a perfect title for what I've conquered, I guess, in this lifetime.
Yeah, I thought when I saw it, I was like, what a brilliant title for the story. Um, and you do have a very powerful story. Could you actually share what it was like growing up in a doomsday religious cult and how that early experience kind of shaped your understanding of control and fear?
Yeah. I didn't realize that when I began my healing journey that I was going to have to unravel all of that. Like
Mm,
you don't realize how deep it goes. Like it just sinks so deep into your whole entire being, like my nervous system, all my belief system. Because being raised in that environment, I mean, you really are like you're taught that you have to fear everything. You have to fear God, you have to fear your parents. You in this cult in particular, it's like if you don't follow the rules, you also have to fear being outcast. So that means being, thrown out of the clan, out of the group, and that makes you really feel like, okay, well, I got to be a perfect little good girl. And I had that same experience growing up with my narcissistic father. I have to set an example, was my dad would always tell me. You have to be the perfect example to everybody else in the church. And like for a young girl that's just trying to like discover herself, that's a lot of pressure. Wait, oh my gosh, I can't mess up. I can't make a mistake. Like, like, whoa, like, and then I realized later on, well, now I know where my perfectionism came from. Like, hello. Like,
right?
no wonder I think everything has to be perfect before I do anything. Like, how exhausting though to live that way. And so as a little girl, that's just kind of what I thought. And so as I got a little bit older, I started to kind of test the boundaries like every natural child does.
Right. It's a human experience.
Totally, right? Like as that's normal for a kid to be like, I'm gonna push some buttons here, see what happens. Well, I just really started to realize that I hated being confined and restricted by the rules of not only the religion, but how strict my parents were in the religion, and also just inside of that, what they wanted to do. They wanted to control me just like the religion wanted to control me. And so the more that I was experiencing that, the more I was like, I'm feeling suffocated. I want to break free. I want to break free from this. And so I started to explore like by doing things at school, like, normal things like smoking weed and drinking with friends and, dabbling wherever I could. But it was like, it almost made it worse because I was a thrill seeker. I was like,
Hmm.
how can I get myself into some trouble? I was seeking
What
it.
can I experience?
Yes. I was like seeking out that freedom. And so thankfully, I made it through all of those experiences. But what happened is I ended up then becoming just, I was very boy crazy. I desired a boy's attention. I mean, I think that's a normal part of the experience too, but I desired it even more. And I think it was because of the really unhealthy relationship that my father and I had. I also was sexually abused when I was a child, when I was very young. I think that had a lot to do with it,
Yeah.
just the trauma from that. And so realizing that's what I was looking for. I was needing somebody to like need me and want me and to feel loved. And I was willing to do whatever it was, whatever I needed to do to get that. And so I ended up finding a boy in the religion. Um, and my parents hated him. Hated him. Hated him, hated him. And so they were trying, it was basically kind of like a Romeo and Juliet scenario where it was like we were not allowed to be together. And so the more that they tried to like separate us and pull us apart, the more that we tried to like come together. And so eventually my parents got a restraining order against this boy,
Wow.
which is pretty uncommon in this religion and this cult, like to be kind of all of this, drama and chaos happening. But why my father was so adamant about that is because I had sex before marriage, and that's a big no-no in the cult. So
Hmm.
they really strip away your sexuality, your ability to have sexual freedom. Um, and so I was shunned. I was basically outcast from the religion for about a year because I had so-called sinned and had sex before marriage. And so I was going to the church, but not being talked to. No one could look at me, no one could talk to me. So all my friends that were inside of that religion had to shun me for that year until the leaders said I could come back.
Did your parents know about the abuse that you experienced as a child?
So they didn't at the time. I later told them that
Wow.
they didn't at the time.
So when you realized you had to, did you actually break free from the religion? I know that, you were doing all these things that you were not supposed to, but when was it when you were like, this isn't my rel I guess you had to stay in it until you were not under their care.
So, well, okay, this is going to really throw you for a loop.
Let's go for it.
So I ended up marrying that same boy. I eloped at 18 years old, married him, didn't realize he was kind of a carbon copy of my father. Just kind of repeating patterns. So stayed in it was an abusive relationship, had two children. We stayed in the religion. We were very much in it. I mean, kind of in it and not in it, but at the same time, we still had that belief system because we had grown up in it together. Um, but we both left in 2017. So we were about 35, 36 years old when we both left at the same time. And in that whole awakening process of he realized, my then husband realized first that the cult was a cult.
Wow.
He came to me with all this information about child sex abuse cases that were being covered up. It was all over the news, as in the Royal Commission in Australia, like the governing body or the leaders of the group were being sued like crazy. They were trying to cover it up so the followers didn't listen or hear about it. It was just such a scandal. So a lot of people left at that time, and we were included in that. Um, but it was the fact that he kind of woke me up because at first I was very much like, no, no, no. I was trained to say, this is, you're wrong. Something is wrong with you. You're bad. Like, I can't believe you're looking at this stuff. And yet he was really finding the truth about what we were existing in. And I'm so grateful he did that. But at the same time, that rocked our whole entire foundation of a marriage that was already faulty to begin with. And so we got divorced. So I left the relationship. I left the cult at the same time. Um, and I had an extreme dark night of the soul where it was just like I was lost, felt like I didn't know what to believe, who to trust. It was very lonely because in that experience, everyone that I ever knew also abandoned me. And my family also eventually were gone too. So I've been estranged from my parents for about 5, 6 years now. So
Wow.
yeah, that's still in the cult.
Wow. So I guess this healing process, I mean, just the sexual abuse itself is, that's a lifelong healing process. So now I guess, when did you realize? I guess you have to, for many people, for me myself, I had to hit rock bottom before I was like, I need to really seek out some healing. Um, what were the firsts on that path towards healing where you're like, I need to do something about this?
Well, when I was going through that whole process, I like stopped basically being able to eat. I like lost like 25 pounds in like 7 weeks. Like I was not sleeping. I had such extreme anxiety. I was having panic attacks. Like I was literally like my body was, I should have been probably in a mental hospital because
Mm.
I was like trying to take care of my children. So I mean, I was just really just surviving. And so at that point I said, okay, I can't do this on my own. My family is not going to be really any help. I'm going to have to seek some care. And so that's what I did. I went on some depression medication. I really, while I don't love to say, go on some depression medication, sometimes it's needed,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes to get us through that hump of what we're experiencing. And I needed to have that experience for my anxiety and stuff. So that kind of got me leveled out. But then I just realized, okay, I need some therapy. I need to start digging into some like what has happened here? Like I'm trying to sift through my mess, basically. And that was the beginning of the healing journey. It's been about 8 years, 8, 9 years now. And I mean, I've just gone deeper and deeper and deeper as I've had to go through the processes. It's just kind of an unraveling. I always say it's like peeling back an onion, you experienced one thing, but I didn't realize how much PTSD I had. It was pretty extreme.
Wow. I mean, that
Yeah.
is, yeah, I mean, it's hard. Even for me, I'm a childhood sexual abuse survivor. I was abused by my father. I like, I had all these mental health issues, and I just assumed they're just mental health issues. Never did I thought, oh, it's rooted in this abuse, which, it's so hard to like connect the things when you're in it and you're surviving.
Yes, it really, really is. And I didn't realize how much, I mean, not only was I encountered obviously domestic violence. So the physical abuse to my body, I think was a huge component of it. My body still like, if you just touch me the wrong way, my body immediately reacts, right? The PTSD, like it's like the body is still there to protect you, right? Even though like you're in a safe environment now, like I can be still very easily triggered by certain things. Even after all the healing work I've done, I can still have those moments where that stuff happens. And it just shows you that, when the body's survived like such damage physically, and psychologically, it really is a lot to unravel and heal. So I've just had to really learn, you know, as you dive into this stuff, learning how to become more present with myself. If something is coming to the surface, like if I'm having an emotion or if I am something kind of sets me off, it's like, okay, well, how can I just sit with this for a second? It's probably not what's really happening in the moment. My body and my mind are remembering something from the past. And it's like, instead of reacting to whatever is happening right now in the moment, like how can I just sit here and feel whatever needs to be felt and then I can respond. And
Mhm.
that's like that's a process. Like you have to learn how to do that because automatically your body's going to want to defend you and protect you and you're going to go into that autopilot moments. So I think that's been a huge lesson in learning in the healing process and how I can do that for myself so I can feel just more mentally stable, emotionally stable, and be able to kind of operate my world in a way where I feel like, okay, I've got a hold on this. Like, yes, I went through some stuff, but now, like, yeah, I can finally relax a little bit and really
Wow.
more of a grasp on my life.
You that's fascinating. And I know you said you're like, "Oh, I need some therapy." But you did it says you're a rapid transformational therapist, an NLP practitioner. Those aren't just like going to talk therapy,
No.
right? Like, so how were you like I don't know if you started with that type of therapy and or if you were just like you went for me, I went to talk therapy and I was like, wow, 20 years of this and nothing's working. I don't know what to do. And then I found all these different modalities. So how did you get what really set you on this path to being aware and present and then becoming, yourself?
Yeah, I honestly, it was exactly that traditional talk therapy. I was like, this is for the birds. No, it's like
Yes.
I could not get anywhere. I kept hitting a brick wall, and And I honestly was really frustrated with the whole entire experience because I was like, you're telling me these things, but nothing's working. We're just sitting here talking about my trauma, but nothing's working.
Right.
So that's when I found rapid transformational therapy. RTT is the short term of it. It's Marissa Peer's work. I don't know if you've ever heard of her. She's phenomenal though. Like she's been doing this for 30 plus years. It's basically a type of hypnotherapy,
Mm,
but it's really intertwined with NLP and psychotherapy and like really being able to access the part of the brain, the subconscious, which is where you're operating from to begin with. You know, not a lot of people know that 95% of your life is operating from the subconscious mind, and you only have a short little amount, 5%, that you have control over, in your
right.
consciousness. And so that really helped me to kind of break through a lot of the stories that I had been telling myself, a lot of the PTSD. It was very powerful. And I said, oh my God, every woman, well, and man, every woman needs to experience this. Like, I want someone that has had the same experience as me, that has struggled so much with their mental health in life, to be able to have more of a breakthrough in less time.
Yes.
Because we don't have to heal in traditional talk therapy for 10, 15 years. We can work through things and have more awareness and have more stability in a short amount of time. And that's what I wanted to do. And that's what I do now. And it's really, really powerful. Powerful work for people.
Wow, I mean, and that is amazing. I absolutely, I really think when it comes to healing, starting with your subconscious mind is like where you start.
Mhm.
I mean, I started with like internal family systems therapy with psychedelic assisted therapy, and that like accessing all of that in a matter of months, I was like, wow, I don't recognize who I was like several months ago because I'm able to take a pause and realize and be present, which I could never be prior to that.
Yeah. IFS, I mean, internal family systems was a game changer for me too.
Oh.
I did do IFS. I did psychedelic assisted therapy. I always tell people that there is not just one modality out there.
Mm.
You are a multifaceted human being, and it's going to take multi amount of modalities to really kind of, what I say, it's kind of like really process everything you've kind of experienced, 'cause
Hmm.
you have some really, really deep trauma. And I think another component of my healing was nervous system. I really learned, I went back to trauma, and trauma informed coaching program. I learned so much about the nervous system that I would have never known before. We're not taught this stuff in school.
No,
We're not taught about
no.
what goes on in our body. And so, like, when I went and dived into this, it really gave me so much awareness of, oh, well, now I can pay attention to when I'm really activated, or when I'm in a state of mind that's not being helpful for my current state, and how I can get
Yeah.
out of that state, right? And how the most simple thing that I have right now that's free, my breath, can help me get there. Just learning these things in itself, I always like to teach my clients this too. I'm like, this is the foundation, right? Like you can do all the mind work, but if you aren't connected to your body, you don't know what's going on in your body, you're still going to feel chaotic,
Yeah.
and you're
Wow.
safe to feel your emotions. And so you're still going to be running and avoiding everything that you need to feel, but yet it's still chasing you, right? It's still chasing you. You're still going to have to deal with it somehow. or,
Oh my God.
but it's there for you to process.
Yes. Wow. In your book, Shattered, Broken, and Beautiful, Losing My Religion, Finding My Faith, love it. Still love it. It makes me think of that one song, Losing My Religion. I like every time, and then it got stuck in my head when I first read about your story.
REM, perfect.
Yes, yes, every time, every time.
Yeah.
Um,
Good.
but you know, you were you found faith again, but not necessarily in religion, right? It was more like kind of finding faith in yourself. Could you elaborate more on that?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit interesting. I obviously left that religion and I felt angry at God. I didn't believe in God. I like literally wrote off anything to do with it. And I said, okay, I'm just going to believe science, and I don't believe in anything else. Um, because I was like, how could anything put me through this much pain? Was my question. And
Mm.
so I went on this journey to honestly just trust myself, find faith in myself. But oddly enough, I ended up finding faith also and guidance in a higher power and feeling more connected to something divine or source or universe than I ever was before. My ex-husband died in 2020, tragically. And obviously, even though we were divorced, there was still love there and there was still a relationship that we'd had for so long. And we had two children together. Watching my children grieving that death, really awakened me to want to know more, to understand more. And it was like the more that I seeked answers, the more that I got answers. And so I talk about that in the book, because his death really rattled me. Like it shook me awake again. It was almost like having another awakening after I'd already had this awakening process of leaving the religion. And it was like an awakening to experience and understand, open myself up to more of what is there for me. I became very intuitive. I started to become like very psychic. I would know things, I would see things. I've had premonitions before, and I was like, kind of like, what is happening to me? I almost felt like I was going a little bit cuckoo. And so it was so funny because the more that I was having that experience, like people just started showing up in my world, like mentors, teachers, other psychics, meditation teachers, kind of just trying to help me understand what I was experiencing and like telling me that this is normal, like, and that
Yeah.
this is okay. But it was against my whole entire belief system previous. I was always told that stuff was evil, it was satanic, it was wrong. But yet, really coming to the understanding that actually we all have this capability inside of us. Some of us just experience it different. And that really opened me up to more of like, oh my gosh, okay, now I have a connection beyond what is really here in this 3D reality. There's something there, like to believe in the unseen, to believe in the unknown, and to also share that. And I share that a lot with my gifts through the people that I work with, you know. Um, Spirit really comes to me and I express what is meant for their journey. I tell them, you know, the messages that are there for them. Um, and at first I was very ashamed of that. I was like, this is so weird. This is so outside the box. Like, people are going to think I'm crazy. But then I just started to meet more and more people that are doing this work and realizing, no, this is actually the work that's meant for people right now. Like,
Yeah.
people need these messages. People need this support and this help. And however it's coming through to help human existence right now. And what a beautiful gift that is for all of us so that we can heal more fully and be a more present human being and a more loving human being, because obviously everything that's going on in the world right now is so chaotic. It's time for us to kind of heal on a collective level and people to really start awaken to, okay, there's more to life than just what you're seeing here. And it's time
Mhm.
to clean up our mess, like our
Yeah.
collective mess, right?
Well, and that's the thing. It's like it went, but it went against all of what you've learned because what you've learned was control. And, it was, I mean, you can't, like, when you're able to think so freely, like you can't control someone who thinks so freely. So the best case scenario for authority or someone who is seeking control is to say how horrible free thinking is and your own belief systems. I am so there with you, and I'm absolutely in that space now where I'm like, there's so much that exists that we cannot see. And sometimes I'm like, people probably I choose who I talk to about these things because
Yeah.
I'm sure they're like, okay, this is batshit crazy talk that you're sharing with me. When I really feel like that is it's some of the most truest forms of, reality, really. Mm.
Agreed. Yeah. And I felt comfortable enough to share it here in this space. I mean, I don't always share everywhere. But I'm learning that I just have to be more open about it. Like, I have these gifts. I'm here to use them. Like, what's to hide? People will judge, and that's okay. And I'm okay with it. I think it's more of coming to terms with the fact that you can handle judgment by other
Yes.
people, right? And not care anyway. It's really about just being yourself, all of yourself, because that's how you're in your fullest expression, your most authentic self. And like, I feel like that's what we came here to do. It's
Hmm.
like be our fully ourselves, and have no shame.
Yeah.
Shame was shame was like put onto us by religion, the patriarchy, all of these things. It's more of like breaking free from all of those things and just really fully being you and being unapologetic about it.
Yes. If only we all could be that way.
Yes. Yeah. And not judge anyone else and their experience. It's their experience, right? They're having their experience, you're having your experience, and I don't need to feel any way about it. I just can let you have your experience.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, I do want to ask, is there anything else you'd like to add? Because I mean, there's so much to cover, which is why everyone should get her book and read through it. But is there anything that you would like to share now with this audience?
Yeah, I would say, if you're in your struggle right now and you feel like, you're just kind of going forward but then going 10 steps back all the time, like to be really patient with yourself. Like there is not anything that is going to fully cure you or fully make you have no struggle, or like this is life,
Hmm.
right? But I always tell people, get the support that you need. It makes everything easier. Like we are humans and we were meant to like heal and be in community and love through connection and be in connection. That's the only way we get through is the connection piece. I think trauma really makes people isolate a lot. And I see that. That was a trauma. It's a trauma response. It was one of mine. Like, oh, I can do it. I'm strong enough. I can handle this.
Yeah,
Really, it's more of like, no, you need someone to hold your hand. You need a few people to hold your hand. And like the more that we all hold each other's hands through this process, like the more love that we create in the world, the more connection we create, in community. And we really begin to thrive. And that's what this is about, learning how you can thrive. Despite everything.
absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely. And it's just, and finding that safe space where you can be
Mhm.
you and your authentic self.
Very important.
Well, Brooke, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your journey and writing this amazing book. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. Yeah, I'm excited to share it with the world and share the story, right? This is all about sharing our message. Everybody has their story.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Well, her new book, Shattered, Broken, and Beautiful, Losing My Religion and Finding Faith, can be found in the links below and in the show notes. For those listening, you can also watch this episode on YouTube. Don't forget, you can visit traumasurvivorthriver.com to listen to past episodes and access the latest issue of Authentic Insider magazine, where you'll find powerful stories from survivors and thrivers like Brooke. You've been listening to a Trauma Survivor Thrivers podcast on Mental Health News Radio Network. I'm Lorilee Binstock. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Take care.